Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Since Day One. Before we get into this video today about R. Kelly's Chicago trial, day 6, week 2, go ahead and like the video, comment down below, and if you are new, smash that subscribe button to take flight with us.
Fake love, I don't need it, you can keep it, that's a fact. I had to make up my mind. I took that weight on my shoulder. I done been down.
Well, yesterday I made a video, you guys, where I was basically speculating on if R. Kelly's goddaughter and Sparkle's niece, Jane, was on the stand telling the truth. And I also had insinuated that Sparkle had met R. Kelly when she was age 14. But I also want to come back, you guys, and clear up the misinformation that was in my last video. I guess there were some Sparkle supporters or just people who knew what was really going on back in the day that started telling me that Sparkle really wasn't born in 1975, which is exactly what Google is displaying. So y'all, when I started seeing comments that Sparkle was really born in 1968, therefore in 1989 when she allegedly got introduced to R. Kelly through a mutual friend, that there was no way that she could be 14 years old, and that when she met R. Kelly in 1989 that she was really 21 because she was born in 1968. So I wanted to come back and clear up my misinformation, because my supporters know that if I ever get anything wrong, I have no problem with coming back and letting y'all know I was wrong. Apparently Sparkle been lying to us since the start of her career, y'all, because when I actually went to go look, I had to hunt for it. It wasn't something that just popped up when I typed in singer Sparkle. I had to actually input Stephanie Sparkle Edwards in order to find that she was really born in 1968, y'all. Sparkle is not 47 like I thought she was. She is 54. And what shocks me the most, you guys, is that I didn't know people in the industry lie about their age. I guess Sparkle been lying to us, and it didn't start with her niece. Well, moving along, you guys, it seems like today on day 6, week 2 of R. Kelly's trial, that we have fairly dry testimony from an IRS agent at R. Kelly's trial on R. Kelly's finances. Prosecutors seem to be setting up future testimony on alleged scheming to fix R. Kelly's 2008 trial. But as per usual at complex trials, prosecutors won't seek to connect all the dots until later on. Prosecutors, as well as the IRS agent, are going through corporate records for Bass Productions and Robert Sylvester Kelly Enterprises, as well as McDavid's company Winkler and McDavid. The feds want R. Kelly and McDavid to forfeit assets used to commit and promote any type of offenses for which they've been charged, including a $1.5 million settlement. They are also going through various court records related to lawsuits McDavid filed against R. Kelly after the two parted ways. R. Kelly was to pay McDavid more than $1,040,000 installments starting in 2014, but immediately fell behind. In other court documents, McDavid states his role as R. Kelly's manager, which included paying out all bills and receipts for the singer and hiring and firing employees. Prosecutors have said McDavid also handled payoffs to reclaim copies of R. Kelly tapes ahead of his 2008 trial. In a settlement with R. Kelly, McDavid also signed a confidentiality agreement noting that he learned highly personal and confidential information about R. Kelly. McDavid agreed not to make any statements or publish or exploit any of personal or professional info about R. Kelly. The IRS agent pulled records from Atlantis Report in Nassau, Bahamas, showing the stay by alleged victim Jane and her parents in 2002. R. Kelly sent the family abroad after revealing his intimate relationship with Jane. Now they are reviewing the title for the 2001 PT Cruiser, which R. Kelly gave to Jane when she turned 16, and a Yukon he gave her around the time they split and Jane moved out of R. Kelly's house. These records correspond to Jane's testimony last week about her relationship with R. Kelly. The IRS agent has created tables showing payments from R. Kelly and his business entities to Jane, her parents, and co-defendants Milton, June Brown, and McDavid. I can't see these tables since I'm in the audio-only media overflow room, but don't worry, you guys, I have it. Behold, the RSK Enterprises octopus from R. Kelly's New York trial. The company got a first mention this morning in his Chicago case as prosecutors are taking the jury through the money that allegedly flowed to victims. This exhibit was actually used by R. Kelly's defense team, not the government, in the Brooklyn trial. I just feel like everybody's name that's on this graph right now is who prosecution is looking at as far as who R. Kelly's enablers are, even though we know he had more enablers than this, and some of the parents are just as guilty too. However, I feel like these are the main people who kept it going. So these are the people that prosecution are going to go after. But you just never know. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below, you guys, and let me know what y'all think about the situation. But moving along, now we're going through transactions on the charts, the payees, amounts, and dates, who got paid what and when. We'll document transactions to prove up the government's conspiracy charges and show the relationships, but it's not exactly scintillating stuff. They are also going through chart for payments from R.Kelly to Jane's parents, identified in this trial by pseudonyms Brandon and Susan, totaled around $80,000 between 2006 and 2012, some labeled loan in the memo field. There's also a chart for payments to Jane, shows she received payments between 2008 and 2015, including a series of almost monthly payments labeled settlement or settlement fee. Last week, Jane testified about getting a check labeled settlement, but she never had an agreement with R.Kelly. Between 2006 and 2019, R.Kelly paid around $2.2 million to co-defendant Milton June Brown, who, according to Brown's lawyers, was a low-level assistant to the R&B star. That comes to about $130,000 a year in payments. Prosecution keying in on a $200,000 check from R.Kelly to Brown from April 7, 2007. The largest payment R.Kelly ever made to Brown. The check was cashed the day it was written. Now running through a numbing sequence of bank and credit card records with some six-figure transfers and checks, hotel charges, and travel purchases being highlighted, including the $10,000 and the $100,000 payout to Charles Freeman, a prosecution witness who was paid to recover tapes. And now the government enters copy of birth certificate for Jane, who was born in 1984 and who R.Kelly allegedly had intimacy with in the late 1990s, starting when she was 14, also entering birth certificates for 4 other women. We're on a break until 2 p.m. when you can expect the defense attorneys to go through many of these transaction records and try to show that they're just the regular kind of payouts you make among your staff, friends, and family when you're a multi-millionaire music star. So while they're having their lunch break, you guys, I just want to read you this article from Chicago Sun-Times because I feel like it gives us more in-depth information than what these tweets are giving. Jurors last Friday watched graphic clips of 3 separate videos allegedly showing R&B superstar R. Kelly hurting his 14-year-old goddaughter in the late 1990s. That alleged victim, who is now 37, testified last week under the pseudonym Jane that she was the girl seen on the videos and that R. Kelly had intimacy with her innumerable times when she was underage, then paid her and her family to keep quiet. On Monday, IRS Special Agent Jason walked jurors through a series of documents including records of payments from R. Kelly or Kelly-related entities to Jane and her parents. From roughly 2006 to 2012, Jane's parents were paid more than $79,000 from R. Kelly-connected entities, including reimbursements for travel and hotels, health club memberships, and a property tax bill. Jane's father worked as a musician for R. Kelly at the time, but none of these payments were classified as payroll expenses, the agent testified. Jane herself also received payments from 2008 to 2015, including a dozen checks for $1,150 over the course of a single year, most of which were labeled settlements, said the IRS agent. Jurors have already heard that there was no formal settlement agreement between R. Kelly and Jane. The IRS agent also took jurors through travel records showing that R. Kelly's businesses paid to send Jane and her parents to Mexico and the Bahamas for 3 weeks in 2002 when they learned that one of the tapes involving the girl was about to go public. Other records detailed hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments that R. Kelly and his companies allegedly made in 2007 to 2 men to help recover other incriminating tapes. Jurors are expected to hear from both of those men later in the trial. The IRS agent also testified about records related to a lawsuit co-defendant Darrell McDavid filed against the singer in 2014. McDavid alleged in the suit that R. Kelly did not pay all the settlement money McDavid was owed after the 2 former business associates parted ways. The court paperwork that jurors learned about included a confidentiality agreement acknowledging that McDavid obtained highly personal and confidential information regarding R. Kelly while they worked together, and McDavid agreed not to make any of it public. R. Kelly's attorney, Jennifer Bongine, is expected to cross-examine the IRS agent after a lunch break. R. Kelly's defense so far has not directly contested that that it is R. Kelly on the video clips, only saying that their authenticity could not be verified and that R. Kelly was previously acquitted for the conduct related to them. Nor has the defense given jurors an alternate version of Jane's narrative of events related to the videos. Instead, the defense lawyers are seeking to sow doubt by telling the panel Jane denied it was her on the clips for more than 2 decades. Meanwhile, here are some of the trial exhibits from last week, including the Looney Tunes mural adjoining the basketball court at R. Kelly's home at 1010 West George Street, the wood-paneled basement hot tub room, and an area at his Chicago track studio where R. Kelly allegedly assaulted Jane. Update is jurors in the R. Kelly trial see evidence of alleged payoffs for cover-up scheme. R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean is cross-examining the IRS agent now, and we're expecting the mother of Jane to testify this afternoon. R. Kelly's defense attorney Jennifer Bonjean is now cross-examining the agent. He has so far acknowledged that the settlement between R. Kelly and McDavid contained no admission of liability and that Kelly did not appear to be the signatory on payments to Jane's parents. So far, R. Kelly's attorney is pointing out on cross-examination that there is no indication that R. Kelly himself directly paid anyone, including Jane. Also, the IRS agent acknowledges he has no way of verifying whether what's written in the memo of some of the checks, like child support and one check to Jane, have any real meaning. The child support payment would make no sense at all, he says. One name that has come up repeatedly today is Linda Minch, a longtime Chicago lawyer who represented some of R. Kelly's businesses and cut some of the checks in question. Linda was killed last year by a hit-and-run driver. An attorney for R. Kelly co-defendant Darrell McDavid reveals through his cross that if McDavid had breached the settlement deal with R. Kelly and exposed what he knew about the singer, he would owe R. Kelly $100,000. The IRS agent is still on the stand at the R. Kelly trial, still mainly in the financial weeds of the case. A prosecutor did say the government intends to call an anonymized witness later today, but did not specify who. And here's one more exhibit showing the layout of R. Kelly's tricked-out home on George Street, a converted church that at one time had a swimming pool, barbershop, and a full-wall fish tank. Prosecutors have called the mother of Jane, the then 14-year-old girl on the infamous tape from R. Kelly's 2008 trial. The mom, who is also using a fake name, is expected to tell the jury about how and why she helped cover up what R. Kelly had done to their daughter. Jane's mother is going by the name of Susan, and the prosecutor is helping introduce Susan to the jury. She tells them about the shoe store her family owned in Oak Park from 2002 until 2010. She says she got to know R. Kelly through her sister, but knew of him before because he was strong in the music business. The woman who is going by Susan says her husband passed away last July. She works for Fox Sports Chicago and a chiropractor and once owned a family shoe store in Oak Park. Susan says she met R. Kelly through her sister Stephanie at a concert at Percy Julian School in Oak Park where her daughter was performing. She also knew of him before that, saying he was a recording artist, a Grammy Award winner. Susan goes on to say that she felt kind of strange about R. Kelly becoming Jane's godfather because my sister told her to ask him to take on that role. Susan says Jane had other godparents given to her by her parents. Susan said that she understood that Jane was spending time with R. Kelly and his family, going to the movies, shopping, or just hanging out with the kids. And even though Susan just took the stand, Judge Lenin Weber has called the afternoon break. Susan says her daughter started going to R. Kelly's studio more and more to work on music. It was then that her sister arranged for Kelly to be Jane's godfather. How did you feel about that? Kind of strange because my sister told her to ask him that. Susan is testifying again, and she is describing the meeting she, her husband, and her daughter had with R. Kelly at an Oak Park hotel. He never admitted it, but he was just saying that he was sorry and he was crying. Susan also goes on to say that they were told we needed to leave town right away and are you with us or are you not? And when asked what Susan thought of R. Kelly and Darrell McDavid meant when they said with us or you are not, she answers that they were going to harm us. McDavid's attorney is objecting, saying the testimony is not clear. When it came time to testify before a Cook County grand jury, Susan says R. Kelly wanted us to paint this picture to let them know that it wasn't my daughter on the tape. Susan says that she told the Cook County grand jury it was R. Kelly on the tape, but the girl on the tape was not her daughter. When Susan was asked why she lied to the grand jury, Susan said, "We fear for our lives and we were intimidated and we were just wanted to make sure my daughter was safe." She said Jane had threatened to harm herself, run away, and not talk to us ever again. R. Kelly's attorney, Jennifer Bongine, is getting ready to cross-examine Susan. R. Kelly's attorney, Jennifer Bongine, starts by asking Susan about her immunity deal with the government. "You have to tell the truth about everything here today, don't you?" Bongine asks. Susan says yes. Susan acknowledges that her husband worked for R. Kelly back in the late 1990s prior to revelations about Jane. Bongine also has Susan acknowledge that she wrote in her husband's obituary that he got his big break working for R. Kelly then. Susan admits that she had a type of relationship with R. Kelly that brought her to his studio by herself, as Bongine put it, but denies an intimate relationship with R. Kelly. Susan says that she was threatened by R. Kelly, goes on to say, "We were harassed. He was a powerful man, so we had to protect my daughter." But when pressed by Bongine, she acknowledges that R. Kelly himself did not harass her or her family. Susan also agrees that R. Kelly sent her and her family on a trip out of the country to get away from the media coverage of the allegations involving her daughter. R. Kelly's attorney, Bongine, said, "For someone who is so intimidated and scared and threatened as you were telling this jury here, you wouldn't have maintained a relationship with R. Kelly for the next 20 years, would you have?" Susan says the family had no other income. "So R. Kelly never told you what to say to the police or the grand jury, right?" "Yes, he did." Bongine confronting Susan now with the report of an interview with federal prosecutors where she says she didn't remember anyone specifically instructing her how to testify. Susan acknowledges to Jennifer Bongine that the family had a shoe store from about 2001 until 2010. "Isn't that a business, ma'am?" Bongine asks. Susan says yes. After Susan again says she lied to keep her daughter safe, Bongine asks her, "So your idea to keep your daughter safe was to send her to live with R. Kelly and lie to the grand jury? Is that what you're saying?" Susan acknowledges that she has maintained a relationship with R. Kelly, including accepting his invitation to parties and talking when her mother passed away recently. "You didn't say, 'Hey, you threatened me, don't ever call me again,'" Bongine asks. Susan says no. Final question from Bongine. "You didn't take money to lie before the grand jury so your daughter could have a relationship with R. Kelly, did you?" She said, "No, I did not." Now it's on to cross by McDavid's attorney, Bew Brindley. Darrell McDavid's lawyer, Bew Brindley, is now questioning Susan. She says R. Kelly did not admit to having done anything wrong when he met with her family at an Oak Park hotel. Rather, he was upset that the family was about to be dragged through the mud by the media. Darrell McDavid's attorney is done after having Susan acknowledge she has never had issues with McDavid. He never threatened her and never suggested that she lied. The assistant U.S. attorney, Janice, said to Susan, "Who did intimidate you?" Susan says R. Kelly. Susan's testimony is done. After a quick redirect, Susan is off the stand. She testified for a little over an hour. Unlike her daughter, her testimony seemed very disjointed. The next witness is Lawrence Birkeland, a lie detector test administrator from Kansas City. Judge Lyndon Weber adjourns trial in the middle of Birkeland's testimony. Back tomorrow at 10 a.m.
So long, sleeping from sofa to sofa. Now I'ma step on these little bitty bitches in some brand new Gucci loafers. Some Gucci walking. I got tired of eating Big Mama's chicken. Now it's business when I walk.